ready? How's it going? Congratulations on being here. Very, very proud of you. Stand up and give somebody next to you a high five and say, it's really good to see you here right now. High five in the audience, stand up. It's really good to see you. Gary, it's really good to see you. So I get the opportunity to kind of kick this off. I'm so grateful to AIME and to Fuse and to be here. And how many of you are here because you would like to walk away with a game plan that not only allows you to finish the year well, but then sets you up for success in 24 and 25 and beyond? Say yes if you like that. Okay, so do you know the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Doesn't look like any of you are volunteering. So knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. I know that surprises some of you. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. So over the next couple of days, you're going to be faced with knowledge, and I want to kick it off with wisdom. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that anybody in this room can make more money in less time with less stress every day of your professional career. Do you like that idea? Okay, so I'm going to talk about a principle that's called how to close more loans now. Okay, are you interested in that? I think so, but that was like a fairly poor response. Are you interested in that? Okay, so when we look at the 1% rule, I've thrown something up here just to have you kind of take a look at it. If you don't know your numbers and you don't operate the business daily with the numbers, you're not going to understand the power of the 1% rule. What this tells us is if somebody in this room, a broker, wants to make $400,000 and their average loan amount is $420,000 and commissions are all over the place depending on whether you're owner, correspondent, straight broker, whatever, but let's just use 100 basis points for simple math, and 2 out of every 10 borrowers you have a conversation with applies with you, apps with you, all the way in, compliance, triggered, boom, 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 they're approved, and 85% of those fund out. Are you with me? Okay, so if we were to take that 20% conversion and we were to say, let's just get better with our sales conversations, let's just get better with our words, let's just get better with how we create trust and influence, and how do we create connection and love fast, and we improve it by 1%, you can see that your income is gonna go up $1,800 a month. So one of my goals in the next 30 minutes is to give you some ideas that are wisdom-based on how to do that. And then I want to invite you along for a journey with me over the next 4 weeks that I think you might like if you like what I'm going to do in the next 30 minutes. But what would happen if we got so good at those conversations? And what would happen if we got so dialed in with getting people to know, love, and trust us faster? And we could take that 1%, which is $1,800 a month, and we could do it by 6%. Everybody in this room is making an extra $11,000 a month by not calling on more people, by not talking to more people, but by getting better with the people that we talk to. Does that make sense? Like if I had 2 options, option A, it takes 20 minutes to create trust with a borrower. Option B, it takes 5. Which option would you choose? I think you would choose 5. Because then what happens is the math says, I can talk to more buyers. So there's a law in high trust selling that's called the law of the dress rehearsal. And the law of the dress rehearsal says practicing your lines elevates your performance. One of the things we know is that if you don't know those lines in the modern day world of trust and touch and technology, you'll take far too much time to say them and they won't be anywhere near as impactful. So I'm going to show you, if you've watched the series Quarterback, I'm going to call out my Minnesota Viking fans in the room. Anybody in the room that's a Minnesota Viking fan? Let me just hear from you. It doesn't matter if you're a fan or not. Watch this clip and see how it sets up with the law of the dress rehearsal. Let's go to video.
Calling this play is tough. Twist, pack right, tuna, 8 short, and Z out. So twist, pack right, tuna, 8 short, Z out, 3 scram lick, Y Marshall, X diagonal, and then we're canning this to Jacks left. Okay. I need to record these third down plays on my phone. Nick Mullins gave me the idea to just record the plays on my phone and then to listen to them back, because that best simulates what the game is like, where you're hearing them in your helmet.
Here we go, fleet pack left sock.
34 Wanda Balloon X Omaha.
Gun fleet pack left sock 34 Wanda Balloon X Omaha on the turbo. Ready?
Speed right Joe Hokey Z rub low X back.
Speed right Joe Hokey Z rub low X back.
Can 36 Wanda bubble.
Can 36 Wanda bubble. I'm testing myself to feel that I know the read, know the play, and as I say it, I can see it.
Stack right clamp 2-jet rib.
Stack right clamp 2-jet rib. I just want to get to a place where every Sunday I feel as comfortable with the plan as I possibly can, so I can just go play and not think. But it takes a lot of work during the week to get there.
Rib H Fun Cheddar Can Brawlin' Cheddar H Bronze in the turbo. Ready?
X short to Tweety pack right tuna.
Can Frog Deuce in the turbo. Ready?
Y short to cousin right clam 2-jet rib. Scrabble X Mexico.
In the turbo. Ready? Y short to cousin right. Y Fun Zigo Bow. Can Jack left in the turbo. Ready?
People that think that a guy like Kirk Cousins just shows up on Sunday and gives it his all and tries to win a game, they really have no idea.
So when we talk about enhancing performance, what are we actually talking about? We're talking about knowing so well what to do that there's no hesitation, there's no thinking, there's no fear, there's no call reluctance, there's nothing that is negative about being game ready. And what Kirk Cousins says is, I'd rather show up on Sunday knowing what to do than hoping I can do it. And so one of the things we know as we coach mortgage brokers and businesses all over the world, and as we look at the impact that high trust has, is there's some very simple fundamentals. You saw that on the opening Fuse 6 video before Katie and Brendan and Thomas came up, and it was all about like this idea of the fundamentals matter, right? And so I was talking with Dale Vermillion earlier, and he goes, so how come everybody has so much fear? And the reason why people have fear is because they haven't got excited about the plays that they're going to make, knowing the plays they're going to make, knowing how to execute those plays, and the areas in which most brokers don't know at scale, like a top quarterback would know, or a top performer in any industry would know, is the abundance and the fundamental simplicity of call, connect, convert. Call, connect, convert. Call, connect, convert. Call, connect, convert. And those are the three magic plays or pivots that you need to make in the society that we find ourselves in today in mortgage lending to understand that we don't need more borrowers. We need to be more effective with the borrowers that we're working with. We need partners that go out of their way to find us the borrowers that we need to speak with. We need to do such a great job with every borrower that they become a salesperson for our brand long term. And we have to do this in a way where you can never, ever escape these three fundamentals. If I don't call, I don't have a chance to connect. If I don't connect, I have zero chance of converting. And if I convert, it would be lucky versus what? Skillful and prepared. So if you don't know what to say in a selling situation, you will take too much time to say it, and you'll lose your way. Now, I know that you guys as brokers are professional in everything you do. I know that the way you approach a referral partner is highly professional. I know the way that you maybe help a borrower get the best overall combination of program and rate and cost. I know you're really, really good at that because you're a broker, and brokers are better. But at the end of the day, what needs to happen is you have to test yourself and say, how good am I at these three simple disciplines? And what I'd like to do right now before I say anything else is give me a show of hands if you could be more intentional about making calls, connecting uniquely, and converting at a higher level. Just let me see your hands if you fundamentally believe, because it's your life, right? It's your life, it's your game, you're the one playing it. I want to be your guide. I want to give you thoughts around these three things. So if you're taking notes, you want to write these three things down. And then what I want to do is unpack these three things with three simple ideas with two or three simple groups of words. And then if you like what we're talking about and you want to go deeper on this, I'll show you how to do that as we go forward. So here's where we begin. We begin with this simple pivot that every day, in every way, there should be activity around the phone call. And Dale was asking me, how come so many people hide behind technology? And the reason why people hide behind technology is because they're not good at the human connection in making the call. Now, I do this every day. I have an hour every day where I call business owners every single day, 5 days a week. It doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter. I make calls just like I'm saying you should make calls. And I was telling Dale that I called somebody on August 16th. This is the 31st year I've called this person on August 16th because he lives in Australia, which his birthday's on August 17th, which is the next day. And when I called him this past August, he said to me, he said, do you know you're the only person on the planet that has called me 31 years in a row to wish me a happy birthday? And I said, thank God for our friendship. And then I looked at my phone, and I know to call him, but on August 16th, I have 7 birthday videos or calls that I have to do. That's technology making calls. I get a call 3 weeks later. A friend of his owns a brokerage in Australia. They have 1,000 brokers, and he said, I just told this guy they need to hire you, give him a call. I only called John to say happy birthday, but what did John do? John's having lunch with a friend of his, and he says, you were successful. You sold this company for over $1 billion. Who helped you with the training? And what did he say? This guy named Todd Duncan from America. So do you want business to be easy, or do you want business to be hard? And I think most people would like it to be easy, right? So here's 4 things you need to look at. Like, who do you know right now? Like, what referral partners that aren't actually partners yet are prospects, and you know them right now? Maybe it's a real estate agent. Maybe it's a business owner. Maybe it's a financial planner. Maybe it doesn't matter who it is, but do you know them? And then right behind that is, who do they know? Who do they know? And the third thing is, do the people that the people you know, who know the people you don't know, they don't know you, and what do they need to know about you? Because you need to know something about them. Now, I want you to go fast forward in your mind, and I want you to imagine a call like this. Hey, Todd, it's Joe. I own this company in Newport Beach, California. I've had 7 people in the last 2 months that have told me you're their mortgage professional. I've got about 35 clients that I need to refer to a mortgage lender, and I think I should probably start with you. Would that call produce any call reluctance for you? Would you be like totally fearful of that call when it kind of goes like that, right? So I have a real estate agent named Debbie, and Debbie knows a guy named Tom Danko, and Tom Danko is a doctor, and he's my borrower. And the question is, who do I know? Well, I now know Tom Danko and his wife, Janet. So I know Tom. Who does Tom know? He knows about 800 doctors. Well, do I know those doctors? And the answer is no. But he also has people that run businesses. So I get a call from Tom, and he goes, hey, I was playing golf with Ed. I go, who's Ed? He goes, Ed's the president of El Dorado Bank. And I go, who's El Dorado Bank? And he goes, it's a small community bank. It's in its 2nd year. They have 3,500 depositors, and they don't do real estate loans. So I told Ed, you guys should sit down and talk. So I sat down with Ed, had a conversation with him, and we did an ABA back in the day, affiliated business arrangement. And Debbie, my real estate agent, got 722 contracts in 11 years out of one bank because she referred the person that she knew that I didn't know. Then once I knew them, they told me who they knew, and then I had to find out what do the people they knew need to know about me, and then what do I need to know about them. And you realize that every borrower experience you have unleashes this circle of influence. We call it the circle of cash flow. So when you understand call and you understand fundamental, and then you know your business plan. Like I need to, in order to make that money, I need to talk to 4 people a day. Well, how am I going to get the 4 people? Well, I either need to talk to somebody I know, I need to ask who they know, I need to ask why don't they know me, and then I need to ask what do I need to know about them. And if you did that, what would happen to business? Well, let's say you have 4 borrower conversations a day and 1 says yes. And 85% of those get approved and closed. Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing? Here's what most people do to try and increase business. They talk to twice as many people. What we need to do in the fundamental world is we just need to be better with the people we talk to, because then those 4 people can go to 2, and now we've doubled our volume. Does that make sense? So then what we end up doing is we look at this call, and then we look at connect. So 3 things about connection. You must create professional friction. You must get past interest rates very fast. And you must use an anchor question that locks and loads the client to the point where they look at you and they say, I'm ready to go. And all of that can happen in 5 minutes. So we talk about emotional influence, we talk about connection, we talk about bringing the heart alive before we use the head, right? So if we were to look at these 3 things and we were to understand them, it would sound like this. If a borrower asked me, what are interest rates today on blah, 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 blah. So I would say there's a lot of different interest rates. There's a lot of different ways to structure a mortgage for you. But if I were to answer that question right now, it would be like a doctor telling you, drink this and you'll feel better without doing an examination. We're different. We're home loan strategists. We create home loan solutions for you and your family for as long as you own real estate. That's professional friction. What have I done? I've kind of put most people on the sideline, and I said I could talk to you about that, but here's what I know would happen. So right then, I go right into get past interest rates. So how do you get past interest rates if you were to be Kirk Cousins and you would be like game ready? You would just simply say, so before we talk about rates, and now I'm past rates, right? So now what I end up doing is I've got this friction. Most lenders are happy to quote a rate. I'm different. There's about 20 things I need to know about you to make sure I give you the best overall recommendation, product, price, cost, in managing that mortgage. So before we talk about interest rates, and then I have to ask an anchor question. What's an anchor question? An anchor question is a question that when you ask it and they answer it, you got them. I haven't done anything else. No other paperwork, nothing else. But when I ask the anchor question and they answer it, I got them. And that's where conversion takes place. But if I don't get past the head conversation, then I'm going to not be able to leverage the heart and the heart's desire. This is a humanity-based business. Technology supports us. Technology does not create this. I can't use an app and have you trust me because the app says trust me. The only way trust happens is right here. And sadly, most people in the mortgage business try to influence where? Up here. So imagine the impression that a borrower would have when you use words that are part of your Kirk Cousins playbook. What plays are you calling? Imagine what would happen when you're able to create this kind of situation where all of a sudden somebody knows buying a home, owning a home, managing the mortgage for that home, and buying bigger homes as the family grows, and buying smaller homes as the family leaves, and doing this at scale. Imagine if they feel you're the guy or you're the gal that can do that for the rest of their home ownership life. And it's really interesting. Somebody said, so do you really believe in this clients for life thing? And I said, yeah. And he goes, so where's the problem? And what I said is most people talk about clients for life, but they don't talk to their clients during their life. And it's like if you don't talk to your clients during their life, you'll not have them for your life, for their life. So when we look at this anchor question, you have to do it the first time with every borrower you talk to. And the answer may never change. And you have to do it with the realtor the first time you sit down with a business interview with a potential referral partner, or realtor, or builder, or whomever, it doesn't matter. You got to ask it one time, because if you ask it one time, you got them for all time. And that's the sales proficiency that you need to develop as a broker. So we go like, what's an anchor question? We got about 12 of them, and I'll give you just a couple. So think about somebody who's buying a home for the first time. So I'll tell you about a guy named Tim. He's a broker in Portland. Tim's having a call with a husband and wife that are moving from Anchorage down to Portland. Gets a referral from his local realtor who's in touch with the realtor in Anchorage, sets up a Zoom meeting because they're not in Portland, gets them on the phone, and he goes like this. He goes, we're super grateful that we get a chance to help you relocate from Anchorage down to Portland. We're different than most lenders. You know, we actually help you create a mortgage efficiency plan for your life. We help your mortgage and real estate ownership dreams come true. And we help manage your mortgage for the rest of your life so you don't have to worry about working for it because it works for you. I know you guys are buying your first home. What would owning your first home mean to you? That's an anchor question. And I told Tim, just sit there and see what happens. And he said it felt like it was minutes, but all of a sudden, the wife is crying, the husband is crying, and the wife says to Tim, if we could own a home, we would be the first family in the history of our family to own real estate. And the emotion is just flowing. That's an anchor question. Somebody who's moving up. What would owning your next right home mean to you? What would owning your next right home mean to you? Somebody who's in their 60s and is worried a little bit about their retirement picture. What would having financial security during retirement mean to you? Mean to you. So here's the formula. What would fill in the blank mean to you? So back to Tim. So husband and wife are crying on Zoom. Tim is just letting the emotion flow. And we end up with, like, that's a pattern interrupt. That is a connection pattern interrupt because the husband and wife are thinking, we're first-time home buyers and we need to get a mortgage to buy our home the first time. They had no idea that they would be crying 5 minutes into their interview with a loan officer. And what ends up happening is Tim says the final thing, which is, how do we close? So we call, we connect, and we convert. So convert back to the 1%, right? 1% equals 1,800, 6% equals 11,000, 12% equals 22,000 a month. Conversion, 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 right? So what we have to do is we have to look at this funnel and we have to look at, so what is the promise? Like if I'm doing all of this and I'm actually like putting the emotional connection ahead of any logical conversation. And what if I'm able to offer this definitive next promise? And then what is our immediate next action? And then tie the conversation to the anchor question. What would happen? You would get yes. So if you're recording the plays on your phone, it would sound like this if we run through the whole thing. I'm glad we're having this conversation. I know interest rates are important. There's a lot of ways to structure a mortgage loan that meets all of your needs. But without knowing what your needs are, it's like a doctor telling you what to do without doing an examination. We're different than most lenders. We're home loan strategists. We create a mortgage plan for you, and we manage that plan for life, so the mortgage works for you instead of you working for it. So before we talk about interest rates, let me ask you a question. What would owning your first home mean to you? Boom. Let it flow, right? And then they tell you. And you just let it marinate. And then you say, I'm going to make that happen. That's called a power phrase. I'm going to make that happen. Are you ready to get started? Or if you want to do even a harder transition, here's how we get started. Boom. So now what happens is you go, I'm not having to have a conversation about finance. I'm not having to pre-qual you before I try to win your heart. And what I'm most fascinated by as I look at mortgage brands around the world, and I look at people struggling, and this may sound weird, and it may sound exciting, but what if you could do in a year what it takes 4 years to do without focusing on something like this? What would, if we zoom away, what would it be like to be able to do in a decade what most brokers take 4 decades to do? And even if that's not even important to you, what would it be like to have somebody say yes in the first 5 minutes of a dialogue that you own them, they trust you, they love you, you love them, you trust them, and now we're off to the races? Because you know what happens to that borrower who knows and loves and trusts you? They want everybody they know to know you, because they trust you, and they want the people that they love the most to not go through the pain of working with a broker who's unprofessional, or anybody in this business that doesn't know what they're doing. It's like a quarterback that doesn't memorize the plays getting to a huddle and having everybody on the team go, what the hell are we doing? Like, you're supposed to call a play. And what I want you to think about in these last 3 minutes is I want you to think about, what would that look like? So what would it do for you? Like, what would owning your first home mean to you? So 38 days later, they own their first home, and in the next 4 months, Tim gets 13 more loans that fund from other people in the company that the first-time homebuyers know, love, and trust, who are also part of the same relocation plan. 13 loans, because one person ended up trusting them in a way that was unique and different. And that's all called connect, convert, means. So in a tough market, this is like mandatory. In an easy market, it's really smart. And wherever you are in today's market, we got to do this. So hands up if you could do a better job calling, connecting, and converting, nice and high. So 28 minutes worth of your time, right? So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you something very special. We're going to talk about this idea of how we take these 3 things and put them into an action plan. So I'm going to invite you to join me over the next 4 weeks. I'm going to do 8 virtual sessions online, taking this deep, deep, deep. Week 1, mindset mastery. Week 2, relationship mastery. Week 3, conversion mastery. Week 4, time mastery, because you're going to have so much more business. So QR code this. The market is not changing anytime soon. Rates are where they are, right? The economy is where it is. Inventory is where it is. There's plenty of business to go around. And competition, you got to separate yourself from everybody else that's out there that's just talking about rates and fees. And I want to be your guide. So it's a very easy decision to make. You can take our half hour here and say, let's just go do this for 8 weeks. If you got people, or 8 sessions. If you got people on your team that need to know this and they're not here, let me help you do that, okay? So that's the QR code. And if you like what we talked about today, regardless of whether you do this or not, it's totally your option. I'd be honored if you came along for the ride. If you want my whole deck and all the scripts, all you have to do is go to our booth. We have them printed out. We're in booth 500, and we'll give you the whole deck with these scripts. And there's 10 scripts that I went through today that you didn't have time to write down. Maybe you videotaped. But if you want the hard copy of it, go do that. Here's my final thought as we wrap up. You're going to be somewhere tomorrow and the next day and next month. And what I'd like you to do is own the word intentional. Intentional and purposeful. How can it be more intentional? How can it be more purposeful? And if you do that, you'll do more business in less time and you'll make more money. Thanks for letting me hang out with you guys. Have a great conference.